Are we all ready to start our work session?
We are.
Sure.
All right, I'll call our, what are we calling this? Board work session of February 8th to order. And our one agenda item is discussion on superintendent searches. So, Andy, I had thought that if possible, could you throw that up there on that big screen? Our hiring process, is it possible? No, it's not that big a deal, but I wish we kind of did a circle and stuff. Not really. You're right. Okay, so I guess what we all received this the other day, and I'll thank all you guys for being here as well. We're just going to kind of talk through some stuff, and we may ask you all some questions. Maybe you can help us with some of that. Maybe you can't, and we'll just see. We'll just see how it goes. We've got 2 hours. So, did everybody look through the process? Did we want to just kind of go over all this again?
May I interject really quick?
You may.
So what you have is what happened last time, okay? So this was the process that, when I was hired, this is the process that Mr. Ramey went through with the board. So you can use it to whatever degree you want to, or you can not use it. I just gave you some things to kind of look through and talk through.
And I meant to ask again, I thought this on the drive out from work, are we still on board with doing a state search and not a national search? And everybody's on board with Mr. Wiggins helping us vet the candidates and things like that.
Can we clarify the state search, meaning
Well,
that we're going to?
we're posting it on ASBA in the state now. Like we visited last time, it may bleed over into Oklahoma, it may go into Missouri, you never know.
Right.
But as far as not hiring a national search team.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to clarify and make sure that before we get going on this, that we're all on agreement with that. Okay. So, it's probably going to be easier to read this. I should have brought my notes in. I didn't. So the way basically the way the process will go, and I don't have my stuff, and Jody may want to interject into this as well from last time, but we will, once it's posted, we will start taking applications, or actually they'll have to email 4 applications. We'll have a private email in the district that only we will see, and then it's just like the last time. That worked really well. And that way, you know, with confidentiality and all that stuff, it's really tight. And
So who will have access, who's the email?
email would just be us and
me, if you want that,
Jody, yeah.
if you want me
And
to.
then, and Bambi, did she have, you had it last time too? Yeah, probably, this right here, just us. So I think that worked pretty smooth last time, and that protects the people applying that, you know, that may not want their name until we get down to the, you know, let's say there's 30, and let's say we want to interview 5, and that's when it goes public to 5. I guess it could FOI.
Have we received any applicants yet?
No, we haven't posted it.
Right, I just didn't know if there'd been.
Right.
So there's not an official, right now, there's not
It's
an
not
official way to apply. So that's what you all need give some direction to me or take control of yourselves after today. We need to get it posted, I would say, as quick as possible.
Well, I prefer to run it all through the school. Since you offered to help, I gladly accept your help. I think all of us are on board.
Yeah, I didn't know if this was just an idea I had to throw out there. I didn't know if IT could set up like SS board at goosisland.com, where we could all, instead of them having to send to all of us individually.
No, that's what they would do. Last time they set up, I think it was called Asylum Superintendent Search or something. And so the 5 board members all had access to it.
Yeah, it just goes in there and then we can all look at it.
Right.
Yeah, they won't send it to us. We'll be kind of like this board docs thing. We all go to it and then look.
And correct me if I'm wrong, like, as a board, with that email, or whatever we get, notification, we should not communicate with them. Like, we should do like, we could reply to, like, an email that we get that,
From an applicant?
Yeah. Probably not.
I would probably suggest, I don't know if
No,
there's anything.
not that we would reply, I guess, to the applicant. I didn't know, I guess that's what the email, so applicant comes in and we receive an email that applicant A is applied, right?
Right.
Okay.
And really what that email is just gonna be a storage place for any application.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And the way the process will work is, once it's posted, then the applicant, anyone interested goes to that email to get the criteria of the stuff, right?
The way it happened last time, they would contact me and I would email them the application because it was a fillable form. And so we just, Ken sent them a PDF, a fillable PDF form. They filled that out and sent it back. And so that was the official application process. But part of that also in the application was a requirement for 3 letters of reference, something else and something else. And so all of that came back into that email address that kind of housed everything for you all to look through.
So the resume,
Right.
all that was it. Okay, gotcha.
I think it's my first month doing this, when we did this. As I remember, what we did was, y'all got all the applications, put a book together of each one, and did reference checks. Gave us bullet points, and then we went through and narrowed it down from all the applicants. But it was a nice book and able to easily go through, sit down and pretty good.
I was just, my question was, there won't be a group email with us, so, where we,
And after we narrowed it down, we came in and met with different groups within the district. And we got that feedback.
And just so you know, everything that gets sent in is FOI. Now, we have been fortunate in the past on some hires, or at least superintendent or coaches. Our local paper has allowed us to hold off on giving them information until we narrow it down to 3 or 5 or whatever we're gonna bring in for interview. But anybody that submits anything is going to know that their name is FOI and their resume and anything else they submit.
But they know that on the front.
They should.
Any other questions so far?
timeline for,
I was gonna get to that at some point. But we'll talk about that, we might as well talk about that now. So if we can get this posted tomorrow, is that the goal, or Monday, or something like, within the next few days?
Tomorrow, maybe, Monday, yes.
Let's say Monday, so that would be Monday the 12th. And what's the common time to leave a post out? 4 weeks?
So you can put, until filled. That doesn't give any sense of urgency to anybody. If you,
Need sense of urgency.
educators wait till the last minute to
Yeah.
do things sometimes, so having a deadline may be a good thing. But I'll also say a school district close to us posted one deadline and then added another month to it and then added more than that to it.
We could always do that.
What's a standard time for superintendent posting?
I would say, I would say 3 weeks is probably.
What's a teacher?
I was thinking 3 weeks.
Well, we leave
I
it,
was thinking 2 weeks.
depending on the time of year for a
Year
teacher. Sometimes a day.
Could we put end of February, like the?
Sure.
First or something? I mean,
That was kind of what I had in mind.
29th?
Was the 29th, yeah, just,
So that would give
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That's not. Why don't we
I think
say,
that's too short.
I think.
why don't we say March 3rd? That gives 1, 2, 3 full weeks.
That's a Friday.
Third, no, March that's a Sunday.
Have to be first, then, that, one day.
What do y'all think?
So the first is 3 full weeks.
Or we say the first, yeah, or we could.
21st would be
Well, I said the 3rd, but that gives it through Sunday, and then we could start compiling on Monday, the 4th. That's kind of where I was going.
What was that?
The 3rd, that's a Sunday.
And then you mean on the 4th, Monday, then we'll say it's closed, and now we're gonna.
Yeah, and now we're gonna start going through the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think? You think 29's good? It makes me no difference.
I'd probably try, since you're asking me, I'd probably try to go 3 weeks.
So that'd be 3 full weeks. All right, so March 12th through to March, or February 12th to March. All right. Now, how long will the background or vetting or whatever you want to call it, how long will that take?
As they're coming in, I can start doing some checking. Depends on how many we have,
Right.
obviously, and how quick they come in. But if there's one a day or 2 a day, I can get on that.
Get on that and work through it.
I can work through that fairly quickly, especially if they're in Arkansas, I can get them checked out pretty quick. Or if I don't know.
So when's spring break?
Spring break is the second to last week of March.
18th March. Yeah, just give me some.
Starts when?
18th of March.
18th through the 22nd is spring break.
Through well, something on my calendar is I was planning a trip the 27th of March through April 2nd. See my kids and grandbaby. And I really hate to miss that. I will if I have to, but if we can work around it, I would appreciate it. So we get everything back, we close it on the 3rd, then you start going through it. So
I would hope to have something ready for you guys that week. I can't promise though.
the week of the 4th,
Yes,
oh, wow. All right, so then,
hopefully I'll have most of it ready, but as we go.
yeah. So we can start reading through it early, yeah,
Right.
where we're not, let's say, There's 20, so we wouldn't have to read through all 20 of them. That makes a lot of sense. So then, when would we want to try to do the interviews? That's kind of where I was going to go.
First, we need to meet 7th or 8th and narrow it down,
Right.
and then they let them do their.
Well, seems like,
Committees.
I think last time, didn't they, you help me, y'all, didn't we do all of it in one day? So it was like 2 days, do you think?
If I remember right, there was
Like
three committees, and I think I went one committee to the second to the third all on the same day.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember if the board interview was that same day or if it was a separate time. I honestly don't remember, but I remember 3 committees because that was a lot.
We've had 4 candidates, so it was not everybody was in one day, I don't believe. I think it was over a period of 2. I just don't know because of how they had to run.
One day for me.
I got you. But I believe we had 4 and I think we had to run it over a period of 2 days. I can try to track back and find that, but I don't have a lot from that.
Like one candidate a day, or 4.
Or maybe 2.
Oh, gotcha.
But I remember our locations and our committees, and some of you were here in my, maybe. You too, Valerie, so speak up if you know, but I really think we ran it over a couple of days, and then you guys the board had a couple of, longer evenings with interviews there too. So depending on how many you narrow it down to, it could be multiple days.
So should the interviews, first round of interviews be with district people, and then we get the feedback from you guys, and then we look at what we have, and then we decide who to call in? Is that,
That's up to you.
well,
That's the way it worked last time.
That's what, okay. How does that sound?
Brian, what did you say you were at?
27th through the 2nd.
So we could potentially have committee interviews the week of the 11th, 2 days. Let's say we had 4.
Getting the feedback, closing it. Probably gets noticed to come up.
That's what I, yeah. That's what I was thinking the week of, like, so the 13th and 14th of interview days.
So here's another little monkey wrench for that, as far as the calendar, because I was gonna bring this up at tonight's meeting, that moving the March board meeting, because the 14th, I, with Dr. Miller, and all of the high school choir will be flying to New York that day. And maybe a few people would be affected by that. Yeah, they tell me how to.
So what's your point, Jody, hopefully it's not, you get 20 applicants by the 3rd, and you start on to 2010. Right.
Hopefully
We
there's.
could get 12 the first week, and we're starting to vet folks a little bit. Like, potentially, we could, by the 6th, maybe have an idea of 4 people we want to bring in. Possibly. Unless we just had a late one, or, even the late one, if they come in the 3rd, you can see it.
And if Chris is going to ask for March's board meeting to be moved, if the 7th is a consideration, that would be a night that
Right.
we could have a board meeting and have some conversations about that, confirm the board, well, so, yeah.
Well, so say that number 20, we want to get it down to 4. Who or how is that going to get there from 20 to 4? Like, are you going to remove any, Jody, or have we?
I won't remove any, this is not my decision, it's your decision.
So you're
So-
going to be doing some kind of.
I will do,
checking.
I have if they're from Arkansas, I can check them out. And I can take notes, I can call references, and I can put some information together. Then I can pass that to you all with absolutely no recommendations, or, this is up to you, I can put them in a pile of green, yellow, and red. And then you get to see them all and have an opinion at least, but that's up to you, how you all want that. I can give them to you with no comments whatsoever.
We could move a yellow to green, like he had.
Right.
I just want to, like, I want to know if you get concerns or, like, I want some kind of notes.
Yeah.
Based on what your reasoning is.
Yes.
I think that would work real
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
to where we can, let's say the red is not qualified or whatever, we can glance through those and we can look at them and say, yeah, you're right, you need to move on. Because there will be some of that.
Sure.
There will be some of that.
And Travis's point, if there's one that's in the yellow,
Yeah, that we
say,
like.
hey, let's, I like that.
So if we narrowed it down to, well, again, let's say 4 by the 7th, is that too late of a request if there's some from out of town for the week of the 11th to be those kind of 2 days? Like maybe it's 12th and 13th before.
It's pretty quick turnaround, but I also,
I'm just looking at spring break.
if they want the job, then
Yeah. Right.
they would try to make it work.
Like if we reached out on Friday the 8th and said, hey, on the 12th, can you come over for?
The only thing that might, if they're a sitting superintendent somewhere, a lot of schools have board meetings on the second Tuesday, which is the 12th. So that, there could be complicating factors, absolutely.
So it
But
could maybe be better 13, 14.
No, it's what we're,
Chris is gonna be
14th
gone,
is not a, 14th is not a good day. 14th and 15th.
Why?
Because of Chris.
Chris is going on a choir trip to New York.
And Dr. Miller may be
Yeah.
on a committee as well to interview.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
My thought was, if we would have the interviews that week, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, spring break is the week between, and we could, out of those 4, if we wanted, if the board, if we wanted them to interview 2 of them, that would give them spring break, and they would come back, I guess, the 25th, 26th, before Brian leaves. Just a thought.
Yeah. And do the board interview on the 25th, 26th.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Does
good
that
call.
sound reasonable? It's pretty
Maybe.
fast. That's pretty fast.
And here's a suggestion. Maybe you tentatively say that, and then depending on what it looks like as far as applicants, then you might bump things.
Yes.
Push it back.
I would suggest, from a timeline perspective, my suggestion would be that you try to have something ready for the April board meeting,
The 11th.
which is the 11th. You get past that, you're gonna put whoever takes the position down.
Maybe could we start getting calendar events set up as placeholders, if nothing else? Would that be okay? Maybe.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you're out the last. Like
Yeah,
if we had to move, if the 25th, 26th didn't work, we could do the 4.
Yeah.
Because I assume spring break, we're not gonna do anything.
no,
So
that,
it's either that or wait till the 3rd, 4th, or 8 and 9.
That
Try to
pushing,
get-
that's pushing it pretty
Get a
tight.
school board meeting on the 11th.
Yeah,
That's gonna be too tight.
that's pretty tight.
Okay, so what I have tentative, let me read this to you. Posted by the 12th, deadline of the 3rd. Potential committee interviews on March 11th through 13th. Potential board interviews March 25th, 26th, or we skip to that next week, the first week of.
It'd have to be the third.
or the 4th. Yeah.
I'll be back in a second.
Okay, so we'll put some tentative dates in your calendars for those.
Kelly, you went through all this stuff before. You think that's reasonable?
Can you go back to that week of the 11th, Jody, what was in that week?
Potential committee interviews.
Michelle,
I
you-
want to say that maybe you may help me. Did we run one candidate through the whole thing in one day?
I went through 3 committees in a row.
Right, so I think you're saying committee interviews first and then board interviews later. I think we ran through certified, classified, CO interviews all in one day. There was a little lunch involved in that, and then they saw the board that night. And then the next 2 came in a different day. So it wasn't like we did all, and because in between all of that,
That's right.
and all of your classified and all of your certified folks gave feedback, just handwritten feedback, that we then compiled and handed to you all. And you had it, an hour or so before you had to see those candidates or that candidate that evening. And I almost want to say you only did 1 in a night, but that would have been 4 nights. I don't know.
No, I think we did
I think we did
at least
2.
2.
Baby, do you remember that?
It was one person each day, and I think Miss Ramey took over dinner, that compiling was going on.
Yes.
So-
So I remember us typing frantically to get those done.
So, I mean, all of, like, that whole process, that interview process, part 5, for one candidate, it was pretty much 1 day. And then we did it again, and
That seemed too, I mean, I tend to think that how we've laid it out, I like better.
It's
Well,
up to you.
but you're saying that was 1 day, and then we chose 2 to bring back. Is that what you're saying, or were the interviews that, I can't remember?
I think they were that night.
We did all 4, and yeah, they went through the committees,
So we didn't come
and
in
then that night went
Okay.
to the board, because those were the late nights.
I kind of like a little bit of time even for that committee to,
That's what I was thinking, that's why I kind of mentioned that, do the 1 through 3, and 1 through committees can compile, and get their notes together,
And not be
Yeah,
rushed.
I don't
Only
and then we
thing-
might, out of the 4, we might only want to bring 2 to interview with the board.
and that is your decision. If they want the job, they're gonna come twice, for sure. And I mean, honestly, if
I
they
think
want,
that was the issue last time, that
There
Ranger
was
was
a couple.
trying to, like if they're all the way across state, making one trip. I think that was kind of, that's all. But
I think that was our consideration for why we ran it the way we did then, was especially if they were current soup, it's hard enough to be gone 1 day when you're thinking of leaving a district, and to be gone 2 is hard.
could we say that if we have a candidate or 2 that are coming from a long way away, then we will consider it, because this is gonna be at least, we think 4 candidates, right?
I would, we don't
I think
know,
that's
but
targeted.
I would
Start
hope
putting it in front of
so.
the committee.
I would hope so.
Right. I just wonder if, we'll see if that's even an issue, if someone's coming from 5 hours away. And then we can
We
maybe
can
work to
do-
accommodate that person.
Yeah, yeah. Is that fair, you think?
I think as long as we get those dates on there tentatively, then you all can make it.
Work from there.
That's what I was gonna say. We won't know anything until we look at, what candidates come in look at it, but as long as we have this tentative setup plan, and then figure out from there if we want 4, 2, 3, whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to say, maybe 5, maybe 2. You know, we just don't know until it
I
all,
like options.
yeah, until it all gets here. Let's hope it's,
Work with a lot of really good ones.
let's hope it's 5, because that means we'll have 5 real good ones. Okay. All right, so we all good with the dates? Okay. So now let's go to the, and
So-
Jody's gonna do that.
Sorry,
Yes,
just one thing to keep in mind.
all right,
We're looking at that week of the 11th. And we have 4 candidates that we want to bring in with potential, we need to do 11th, 12th, 13th. All 4 of those meetings,
is that you in March?
and then, I'm talking about March, yeah.
Okay,
And then we might need to come back on the 25th and 26th to finish. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So just keep in mind that 14th and 15th are out for any sort of interview nights and days.
right. So we got the 11th through the 13th, and then 25th and 26th. Yeah. And then potentially 3rd, 4th, and 5th if needed, or even 8, 9 if you need it. As long as it's done by the 11th, that's the goal. Is having,
Okay.
is having it sealed up by the 11th, so. Because, you know, whatever happens, you know, we can get other school districts or time if that's what happens or whatever. Okay.
So I'm gonna ask this, the committees on here are what they used last time.
I was just getting to that.
Well, never mind.
No, you're good. All right, so we're good with the dates, and did you write in the flex dates down further that if you needed to change it?
25th, 26th.
Good. All right, so now let's talk about the committees, school committees. Is that, look reasonable to you guys? Do we want,
The last time it said certified supervisors and other reps. I need clarification on
what was that?
really who that.
I'm thinking in our current context, that's probably principals and maybe, up to you guys, but if there needs to be teacher reps from 3 different buildings or 3 different levels or something like that.
So each of those committees, it was quite large. And it was the certified supervisors, we had principals, I don't know that we had every single principal, obviously somebody had to be, in the buildings. But we tried to get representatives certified and classified to make sure we hit every single area. So there wasn't an area that wasn't represented. That's why we pulled supervisors and then just other as needed, We had one, I'll just tell you, I was in every single interview except the board, because that was as a facilitator. So however you choose to do that, somebody needs to facilitate that process so that each committee knows what they're doing. It's just good to have a facilitator. That could be anybody who chooses to do that. Because as your certified people are coming in, here's what you're going to do. As your classified people come in, here's what you're going to do.
So
Mr.
this-
Ray,
sorry, no.
Mr. Ramey obviously facilitated that with the candidates,
Mhm.
and he kind of handled that part of it, and then handed them off to the committee. And then we have just a district facilitator in there to make sure things went as they were supposed to go. Or, anybody had a question or whatever, so.
So the facilitator was the same for certified and classified.
Yes,
It's through the whole thing.
yes.
One group that is not on this list that I think this was brought up in our meeting we had last time was either community, a community group, or, and this isn't well thought out, but community/parents. We had something maybe outside of district that could also be a voice and represent just kind of what we're hoping for. That'd be something I'd like to see added. And then now I just want opinions on this next question is there any reason to want to blend some of these groups rather than keep them siloed in each category? The only thinking would be, are we gonna get a good representation? You know, one group, is that only gonna be focused on the needs of that one group? Just a thought. So I'm very open to challenging or what that would look like, but we want a group that had a community member or two, a certified or two, classified or two, central office or two.
I think by keeping them in the silos, it would help the candidate to be able to focus on issues. Principals have different issues than your classified supervisors. They
That's kind
have
of
different issues than the central office people. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But I know if I were interviewing for it, getting hit 4 times in one day with all the same questions could be taxing.
To build off what Terry said, the questions were tailored, and yes, they were somewhat siloed, but that way every group had an opportunity to hear that person's take on what most impacts them in their world. And we did have, while we didn't have, I don't believe we had community members on that committee, you know, like our parent and family engagement coordinator, that person was there to ask the questions of, you know, how do you engage the community, those kinds of things. So the blending, I think you're going to get more overlap, and I'm not sure everybody will have their questions answered as deeply
Good point.
for their, because we all want to know, how's this going to impact me? Like it or not, that's what we all want to know.
So with it's good to hear about the parent, you said the parent rep. Potentially, could she reach out, I don't know who she or he, reach out to community and try to get questions from the community, to Eric's point, to try to hear the negative of doing a community is then you're starting to pick parents. And if there's certain parents, other parents are gonna know, why didn't I get picked,
Yeah,
or
that
whatever.
Gets kind of
But
messy.
we do have a school representative for parents. Maybe they could reach out
Ms.
to,
King facilitates our PTO, Dr.
Right.
Carter facilitates our parent-family engagement for the district.
potentially could get, you know, questions from the community between now and just to have a few questions from, that kind of scratch the itch you're thinking.
Well, I'll have to think about that. I don't know if I'm satisfied with that, but let me think about it.
Oh, I mean, we are also representatives of our
Right.
districts.
Yeah, I thought of that. But here's the thing. There's gonna be things that, I mean, yeah, that's true.
What I see with, if we get the parents, I like the idea of maybe shooting questions or something, but if we get a parent in an interview, that parent is only gonna be focused on the interests of their child. Or so,
Well, the
You know
same thing
what I
can be
mean?
said about a teacher or anyone in this room, you know. Someone in this room could be acting the same way. I could be acting the
you
same
know,
way.
that's, school business is kind of different in my mind than, I like the idea of getting questions. I think that would, I'm not sure they need to. We can still work on that small.
Kelly, who did you say was the PTO? I missed that name. PTO facilitator? Okay, thank you.
So the last time were the Did you just have questions from like the PTO and all that, or were they actually setting, representatives setting on the committee interview?
We only had school employees in the committees.
And was it, were questions predetermined? I mean, did the committee, did you all have predetermined 5 questions and then you, I think the answer maybe led to others, but pretty much questions are, the agenda is kind of laid out, right?
I think that's being up there.
Oh, there you go, sorry.
So I'm gonna shift it back to you all again. You've got a couple of groups of sample questions in the documents that I put in the Word docs.
Mhm.
You can elect to say those are good, or you can elect to add, subtract, or replace. I didn't provide them to say that this is what you gotta use, because that's not my spot.
Maybe just a.
I'm giving you an idea of what was used in the past.
let me comment on that real quick, because I thought I read through those. This is only my point of view. I don't want to tell certified, classified, or central office what questions to ask. I want them to ask what they want to ask, because I'm gonna ask what I want to ask when it's my turn. And so I just, does that make sense? Does that make sense to you all? I mean, I don't want a predetermined list of questions. Not that this is a good thorough list. I agree with that completely. From my point of view, I don't want to hand out a list of questions to the classified staff and say, ask these.
So the suggestion would be that the committee meet ahead of time and determine what their questions are.
Yeah.
But I think it is important to ask the same questions, or relatively the same questions to every candidate.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you have a set, I think you have, let's say 10.
Mhm.
And then from that 10, there's gonna be 20 more. You know, you build
Sure.
from the number 1 question, oh, well, yeah, well, what do you think about, and then it starts moving on. But yeah, I think you gotta have
Well, some of these questions I think we do need answered, like you have been terminated, asked to resign, or been arrested. I mean,
yeah.
So
I don't want to eliminate.
That's on the application itself. And so those are actually standard questions that we ask on every application, so that,
That's covered.
yes.
I think we just have administration here today, correct? No, that's all right. I only said that, I didn't mean to point you out, I apologize. I would hope that everyone in this room felt like that, if there was something specific that was critically important to you, and you're not on the committee, which evidently you're going to be, that you would feel at liberty to come to us, email us, let us know. I value every single one of your opinion. This is a huge, huge decision, and I want your feedback. Say that.
So with that being said, this is not in here, but I mentioned it to you all previously. Do you want to try to do some type of survey of staff? Send out to everybody, a Google survey of some kind, to get any feedback. It's not hard as long as I know what I'm asking.
I
And I will give you an example.
think it might be good.
In some superintendent searches, they ask about qualities or skills or experiences, or all 3. And they have a list and then another category, and they click any of them that pertain. That's easy, as long as I can put together a list that you all are comfortable with. And then you get some other categories too, where there's an opportunity to give you individual feedback. And then you can also ask open-ended questions, but that's gonna require quite a bit of reading. Because if I send something out, I would anticipate, if I send it out to all staff, I would anticipate 400 to 450 responses.
Questions like leadership style, I guess. I mean, are these fairly generic questions? What kind of questions do we,
The one that I have filled out previously was, or one that I have seen, I didn't fill it out. One that I have seen previously was, what experiences are important for you for our superintendent to have? And it would be a doctor, a master's, some of that's gonna be standard. But experience at the central office, experience as a superintendent. Those are all things that might be important to somebody. What skill set? And that could be leadership style, that could be what qualities, what personality qualities. Those lists are pretty easy to compile and then give you all feedback. That's what we do when we're hiring a principal, basically. We go out into the buildings and sit personally one-on-one and ask those questions and take the feedback and compile it. But it can be done in a survey also.
I'm not opposed to the survey at all. I enjoy reading through the ones that you send us and forward us. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly might be the right person to ask this to. I feel like the surveys have been gaining more participation.
Excuse me. We've got a bus issue, I've got to go. I'll be back. Yeah, and let's go into the bus.
The school calendar one, we had good feedback.
It was important to them.
Right, and I think that's what I was getting at. I would assume that this would be important to people, so I would assume to get. You're probably, and maybe you're a little liberal in the number. Maybe it might be closer to 500, I don't know.
okay. Is there any benefit for us to hear face-to-face rather than a survey? Is there a reason for us to, I know we're filling up our calendar here, but is there any reason why we should consider hearing this directly from these groups, this kind of survey deal? You said that this is what you do for principal hires. You go out, it sounds like focus groups, right?
Do what?
It sounds like you do kind of like a focus group, or is this every person in the building?
For principal hires, we will usually set up 15-minute time slots over 2 or 3 days during various times during the day, and they can come in during the prep and they just sit one-on-one. That's the way we do it for principals, but I think you can get a lot of that information from a survey as well. But we also do surveys for those principal hires for those who couldn't meet one-on-one.
Yeah, the only reason I thought that is just, otherwise you kind of pigeonhole them into whatever the survey questions are. And to your point, you could have a notes section that just said everything, but, just a thought. A survey for sure is the easiest one to say yes to. If we need to do more than that for any reason, we feel like we need any more complete feedback or response to what they would like. I'm just thinking, as an in-person, is that valuable?
Might be, and might not be, because, I think that there would be some value to it, but would we get enough out of it if, if, let's say there's 50 teachers that sit down with us and they all have 50 different interests, then we're gonna be blown away going, which way do we go, to where, what we might do is get that survey fairly quickly. And then we could look at that, and then if we're not satisfied, maybe then reach out and, where we set up some kind of times in the bid, and we could go to buildings and or maybe do both. We can do whatever, but it's gonna get timely and we're, but I think we're all on board with the survey, right? Yes, so we'll do a survey. And then you shoot us questions prior to going out. And then we can add questions to it. And
Yeah, that's a good point. So do we see the survey report?
yeah, and then go, oh, well, this isn't on there, and then we put that on there.
I would like to.
Yeah, let's do that. And then if we're still not satisfied, that means another meeting at some point, but if we're not satisfied, then we try something else. You all right with that? All right. So we still need to figure out who the interview people are. We've got the certified, and now what did we say on that? We were going to use certified supervisors. Do we want some way to get a teacher or two on there, or?
So we have a PPC committee. Kelly is here because she is the president of the certified PPC. So those people have been elected to represent the PPC. So if you want our principals and then a certain number of our PPC members and let them pick, if we're doing it during the day, if we pull all of them, we're pulling
Yeah.
12 teachers or 15 teachers. So that might be a little difficult, but a certain number of those might be appropriate.
How do you feel about that? How do you think everybody else would feel about it?
I don't think they would be opposed to it. I think they would like to be
Would they
involved.
welcome that, or would,
Yeah.
or would they look at it as, oh, I'm gonna have to go to another meeting?
No, I think that they would welcome that.
Very much, yeah,
Okay.
we want that.
Okay, all right, so we got that. And then classified supervisors, that's easy, and the central office,
And classified has PPC as well, and they could,
yeah, they can do the same thing. There you go, there you go. And then as far as the central office, is that everybody? How many of you are in here? You know, there's what, 40, 30?
I think it was the central office administrators last time, but you all can choose that however you would like.
What's a central office administrator?
That's a big group to put. 40 people is too many people.
Yeah,
for one person.
yeah, that's what I think.
So the directors and the leadership are the ones who have offices upstairs, basically. You'll hit
There you go.
classified supervisors, will pull a few others out of this building. And then if you wanted a representative of the business office or something like that, that would be special ed will be in the certified
It's-
principals.
it's somewhere in
PPC.
there. How does that sound? Yeah. We don't want 40.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So that's, then we're gonna, and then so it's each group compile the questions and how does that?
I think that's what I heard from Chris was that they kind of compile around.
Those questions and
That's
then
my-
shoot them
that's
to
my
us, yeah, I'm good with that.
One thing, the applicant may get asked the same question 3 times during that day, but that's okay as well.
Third time, not a real good
They'll nail it.
Yeah.
You know,
I get 3 different answers.
well, thinking about that, Jody, how many of these questions in here are answered in the, application?
Some of them, background questions. Yes.
Is there any reason to just not even include that on this list that we put in front of the group, just to whoever have an answer on the application, maybe, I mean, maybe it is on their minds and they do want to ask it, but I would like to keep those committees as open. And I think I'm agreeing with Chris. I'd like to keep it just as open as possible, let them talk about what they want to talk about. And then with the application, even let our end, anything that hasn't been asked. That on our end.
We'll need copies of those questions that each group
As asked.
has asked, yeah. Because it may be something that we want to incorporate into our time. Well, you know, you were asked this, you can say it again to us, because that may be something important to us that we didn't think of. Right. What else?
As far as the actual application itself, that PDF fillable form. It's up to you all, but if you wanted to include one or two open response questions in there that required them to write a little bit and give a little bit of insight into their philosophy on something, that might be helpful to you. Some superintendent searches require some type of video to be submitted. An easy way to do that is to ask them to do a video, 3 minutes or less, telling their background experiences in education. It's already on the resume, but it gives you a sense of who they are and how they are, how they communicate. That's an option as well.
I like that.
I don't know that I can build that into that PDF, but it can be submitted separately. So you all tell me what you want to do.
Well, I was on some interview committees at one point, and one method that we used was, it was all about, tell me about a time you. That way you don't get someone who, says, oh, here's what I would do in this scenario that's never happened to me. Tell me about a time that you had conflict with the subordinate, or tell me about a time. So, I mean, that's maybe my only feedback would just be, if we could really ask for, actual things that have happened and tell us about how you handled it. And if you didn't like how you handled it, how you would go back and do it different. But that kind of gives a more real answer on who they are. So that'd be my only request on like an open-ended kind of thing.
Would you want that
On the video or on
Application.
on the application, or are you thinking it in our meeting?
Well, I think that's probably going to be how I'm going to try to answer my questions when we interview them. But I was just thinking, if we're going to have, you had mentioned having some open-endeds on here, and I just thought, if we are asking questions open-ended, give us a time this happened to you and what happened, how to handle it.
If you all want something like that included, I can make up a couple, give them to you as suggestions, and then you can give me feedback on them. If you all want a video requirement, you can give me feedback on that, and we can do that.
I like the video, just to put a face with a name, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Are y'all good with it?
Wanting to see how they're speaking.
Yeah, so I think that's a yes for sure. And then I think we all want the open-ended questions. We just gotta figure it out.
Okay. This isn't my meeting, sorry.
No, go ahead. You're helping.
All right, so the second page the first page of the application process, it's the second. Yes, it's in there. It's the second attachment. So you have to go back out. So last time a completed application was a letter, basically a cover letter, a completed application, a current resume, and then those supporting documents. So responses to achievements. Last time there were open-ended questions on achievement and philosophy, okay? So we can go however you want to on that. But they also had to submit transcripts, licenses, certifications earned, and reference letters. Are you okay with all of that? So specifically, like licenses and certificates, that's pretty important because they better have superintendent certification or be really close to getting one, I would suggest. All right, so we can keep that pretty much the same, and we'll revise the A responses. We'll just put that into the applications.
Is there anything missing on that list that we should consider?
Well, a video, if we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
One, since we're on this document, on the first page, under the bold, I mean, it's in the second half of the document, yeah. So right there at the bottom on the screen, in the italic, candidates are asked not to contact board members directly. I agree with that. So totally support that. However, you have to use, so may eliminate them from consideration. I don't like that as much.
Well, I think if we're gonna say that, I understand you may have already gotten something. So if you did, obviously we haven't put this out yet. But I think if we're gonna say that, then we ought to mean it, I guess.
Yeah.
And officially,
I don't know if it's eliminating action. I don't know if it's like they can't be considered or maybe won't be considered.
Well, I mean, it does say may eliminate.
I was starting to want to say it, but. If there's a good candidate, I don't want them to go. I can't. Yes, they should go through the proper channels, but that sentence, I'm assuming that was just because they wanted to scare people from doing that, or didn't want to be.
yes, and here's
There's not.
Here's what we run into in education sometimes. We might have a coach that's interested but doesn't want his name attached to the job unless he's assured that he's gonna get it. Well, I don't think that you want to be in that situation where you're only gonna consider this person if they're gonna be the person that gets the job. So that's what we went through with our coach hire. We had several that inquired, but if they were gonna have to go through an application process, they didn't want to be part of it. So as far as FOIA and all of those things we have to follow, we have to go through some processes that actually document who we're interviewing, who's applying, we are gonna get a request for all the information. And like I said, I'll try to hold them off until we have 4 or 5 picked or whatever. But I think that's the purpose of that statement, and we can rewrite that however you want to say it.
I mean, I would just eliminate that second sentence. That's all I would say. I think candidates are asked not to contact board members directly. If they read that, they know that it's in the best interest not to be contradictory to that request. And that second sentence just seems unnecessary to me.
Okay. The next page on that, the last paragraph is just our disclaimer by law. And then the next page, we will update that. This goes out with the application so that an applicant would just have some basic information about our school district. This is not current, so we will update all of that or something
Yeah, I like
similar
it.
to this.
I like that page.
And then there's a job description on the next page. We can use this, you can use this, I can research a little bit and maybe put together one that's a little bit more comprehensive, or we can use this one, however you all want me to do it.
I wouldn't mind doing the research and seeing.
Okay, and I can do that pretty quickly, and I
That should
can
be pretty simple.
shoot it out to you guys and let you give me feedback on it once I get it.
On a job description,
Yes,
on like research, are you just gonna look at others?
I'm gonna look at others, yes.
Okay, and just kind of compare them to ours and see.
Just kind of put it all together. You good with that, everybody?
Yeah, I'd like, anything else we'd like to add or modify here, I agree.
Yeah, I will have to do that pretty quickly if we're gonna get it posted on Monday, so that will be,
Weekend homework.
that'll be tomorrow.
That's your way.
Luckily, I have a pretty open day tomorrow.
So you might not now. Shane had to leave the room.
And then the next several pages are the application itself. And that's pretty standard. And we add a couple of, I'll give you a couple of options for adding a couple open-ended questions. And that will be that. If you all are okay with it. And then I don't think we should go through interview questions.
No. I think that counts. Like that as well.
Okay, so can I go through what I've got written in notes over here?
Yeah, let's go back, recap.
Okay. So we will set up an email, and the last time the email was on that application, it was superintendent@siloamschools.com. I'll see if we can use that one again, because it's not in use. So we'll set up an email that's visible by us. Any interested applicants after we post will contact me. I will email them the application, and they will submit everything that's required to that email. And then I'll group that for you all, so that it's all, if grant applies, all of this stuff is in one place.
So you said email, but they'll contact you, Jody, or you as in the email, the general email?
They will probably, it says contact the superintendent. Some will call me. I've already had a couple of phone calls.
Okay.
And so if somebody calls me, I'll just shoot out that application to them. And in the application, it'll tell them everything they have to submit. And so they'll just submit back to that email address. And once everything's in there, I'll compile folders for each one.
And I may have missed this, so forgive me if I did. Is there a way someone doesn't know Jody, doesn't know anyone?
We'll put it on the posting.
Right, so that would come, okay.
Yep. They will complete the application, email back, board superintendent and vet candidates, and I'll start that as soon as they start coming in. Interview process, I'm still a little fuzzy on, I think I heard certified principals and PPC members in one group, classified supervisors and PPC members from classified in another group, central office admin and maybe a couple of classified reps from office personnel in one group, and community, and I've got question mark. So community would be a fourth group.
If we can do our due diligence, two groups, community and our teachers, which are PPC, for sure would. Make sure that, I don't want any teacher coming to a board member and saying they weren't given an opportunity to at least provide something. Now, that might be by way of the survey, that's fine, but as long as we can just make sure our PPC groups are represented, especially, same as the community, it's, did we have we didn't have teachers on committees, right? Because again, that's like, why do you pick this teacher, not this teacher, blah, blah, blah. So,
Well, PPC will be teachers.
well, yes, but they're in the PPC group, so yes, no, I get that. And then the community thing, same way, if we can just, our team do our due diligence to make sure the community, I don't know, there's a form, there's something that.
So whatever survey I send out to staff, we can also post on website and our socials for community members to give feedback. And we can have a question that separates community member, certified staff member, classified staff member, so that when you all look at that feedback, you can break it out. Now, we will have a ton, if I email that out to staff, we'll have a lot of responses. If we put it on Facebook, social media for us, and website, there'll be limited responses, depends on how the word gets out. But we can send out a robocall.
I know, Eric, you brought up the community group. I think as long as we give them an opportunity to share, and like I think Chris said, we represent our zones as well. So I feel like community support will be represented.
You're right. I mean, that is what I'm wrestling with. I guess I just, this person is going to touch more than just the school district, I appreciate seeing Jody serving on like our Chamber of Commerce board, for for instance, and, I have not talked to him, and, he'll probably hear about it, me saying his name, but I mean, for instance, I just thought maybe an Arthur Holbrook or someone like that, someone who kind of has, the voice or the, hope to see the community thrive and work well with our school district. So he was just like, that's just a for instance for someone I thought that would just be good to just have there as part of the process, just for wisdom or a perspective. And I'll push back a little bit on, not every certified person is going to be on this certified committee. So the whole why did I get chosen, not this person? I'll push back a little bit on for us doing this for teachers, and I do want, it sounds like we are going this direction, but, not every person is gonna be on a committee. That's what a committee's for, it's a group to represent, so. But not every group's gonna be represented 100%, so. I just think I don't know that I like the, eliminating that or saying we won't do that because one person might wonder why they're not chosen. I'm here for Zone 3, 4,000 people. 4,000 people from Zone 3 aren't here, I'm here to represent. So just kind of that same way of thinking. I think our teachers could be trusted to have someone sent to represent them and just be a voice or a representative. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, so how many committees do I have?
Me, I think the 4. Well, the school.
School board being the 4th? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. All right. So timeline, we will post by Monday. Our deadline will be the 3rd of March. We have tentative interview dates for committees, March 11th, 12th, and 13th. We have tentative interview dates for maybe the board, March 25th and 26th.
Wait a minute, go back a minute to where interviews for the
Committees,
committees, yeah.
the March 11th, 12th, 13th. We have tentative board interview dates of March 25th and 26th. And as a backup, April 3rd and 4th, with a goal of having someone to name by the board meeting on the 11th.
And I would maybe just add in your notes or wherever you want to, Jody, on those, the committee dates of March 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Yes.
Potential board as well, if someone's from out of town and we want to,
Consolidate.
yeah.
Okay. And I did not put in here, but our March board meeting, you all can give me a nod right now if you want to move that to the 7th. We'll probably need to, actually, you all can just make that change, but it doesn't have to be a vote necessarily.
Can you have your financials ready by the end of the week? Or should it be the,
If we move it to March 7th,
Yes.
yeah,
I could have the financial, I mean, might not be on super early, because Friday's the 1st.
Okay,
I should have them done by Tuesday for sure.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Fifth.
Okay. So 3/7, we're gonna look at moving our March board meeting to. And just to throw a wrench into all this, March the 4th is election day, which means that we will have a new board member elected to take Grant's place. The soonest he can be certified would be the 15th. So March 15th, and I say he because
We only have one.
there's 2 of them on the ballot. And
Really?
yes, because she did not make her decision before the ballot was finalized. So I'm assuming that he will win since she has decided that she doesn't want to serve. So the 15th would be the earliest he could certify, and it could be that following week. But my point in all of that, somewhere in the middle of March, Heath is probably coming on and Grant is probably going off. So it's gonna be in the middle of the process. But I don't know that we can avoid that.
Well, I would respectfully ask that Grant stay with us, because it's not really official until April, for our first meeting.
Correct, but Heath will be certified to vote at the board meeting in April.
In April. Yep. Yeah,
And if we have a board meeting prior to that, he would be the official board. So if we have a board interview on the 25th, 26th, or the 3rd and 4th, he would actually be the board business.
Another question is, do we bring Heath in for any of these interviews?
Well, the board interviews, I think he will already be on the board. So I don't know, the committee interviews, you all would have the option, I guess, of sitting in on some of those. But if more than one of you attend it, then it becomes a board meeting.
Okay, I see, so Grant, yeah, he will be here for the decision, he'll be here for the interview, so then he'll be at least informed enough, it won't be the first time he sees this person.
he's good. Right, yeah, okay. Now, what I'm thinking is that since Grant started in the process already, that even, and tell me if this isn't legal, but I think Grant should see it all the way through. And I would welcome Grant's input and questions. Can he sit in the board interview?
That's up to you. Board interview itself,
He'd probably be a consultant, I mean, we could probably call him like a consultant, but not.
okay, I think I probably need to ask our attorney,
Ask her.
because the board interview of a candidate is actually going to be an executive session. So the press is not there, which means that somebody who is not on the board cannot be in it.
Only has a certain amount of time
But-
to be sworn in after certain.
And Heath only has a certain amount of time to swear in.
Right.
There's a window.
After, yeah,
And so he will be sworn in
5 days or something. And
by the time we do board interviews.
Yeah, okay.
So I think, I can ask our attorney, but I think our attorney is gonna tell us that Grant will not be.
I hate that.
Just try and cause problems on the way out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I will check with that.
Because ideally, what I was sitting here thinking is ideally what would be nice would be to have Heath in there and Grant in there, because, you know, he's not gonna know a question to ask, school related, where Grant's been sitting on the board 5 years, and he may have a specific point that none of us think about. You know, that's why we have all of us in there. But if it's not legal, we can't.
Well, the way we probably have to solve that is we'd have to have a public board meeting, we'd have to have Grant out here, and we could ask her any questions, Grant can be part of the conversation.
I think you would,
No, we don't want
I
that.
think you would want your interview to be.
It needs to be.
I'm just saying, like, I think that's the only way to get him in.
But you're still in the process, even if you can't, you can still go through the whole, while we're in the process and all of them, and rate them for us. That would help.
On the front end.
Yeah, on the front end.
And Grant will be in the March 7th board meeting.
Right.
Okay? We're gonna develop a survey, some survey questions to send out to staff and potentially community. We're gonna run that by you all to get some feedback on those questions. I'm going to start shuffling complete applications into green, yellow, and red. And I will provide that to you all, and then you all can do whatever, and I will start vetting, doing some vetting of candidates as they come in. And we're going to add a video component and possibly 2 open-ended questions to the application process. That is my notes.
Sounds good.
And And I'm gonna check with the attorney to make sure that what I just said was right about grants.
And it probably is, but let's check. All right, anything else out of anybody? Or you guys, either one? What have we missed?
I was gonna ask that too.
Anybody out
there?
here think of anything
Miss
we
anything?
missed? Getting a nod sounds good. Don't know. Okay. Board, how about us? Are we good to close this work session then?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Adjourn.